Malika ma'am, it's such a pleasure to have you on our show, and I'm so honored to be talking to you right now. So, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to DC Conversations. So, we'll
Thank
just,
you.
start off right away. So, this thing is called Meanwhile and Elsewhere, which is a blend of theater, dance, and poetry, right? At the NCPA Nakshatra festival that the performance is happening. How do you think this interdisciplinary language resonates with the audiences there?
The very fact that I still get invitations when I've done interdisciplinary work for the better part of 40 years, I think, is the answer. Don't
Yeah,
forget that I'm the daughter of a scientist and an artist and always love to mix the two.
right, right, right. And over the years, your work has often blurred the line between, performance and activism. So how do you sustain that balance without compromising either on art or advocacy?
I think the first rule is that whatever you are presenting has to be interesting enough to keep the audience in place. A lot of theater is very worthy but boring as hell.
Yeah.
Then you've lost your audience. So we always say that we need to create something that will keep the bums on the seats. And I think that is what it that is what it is. So whether you agree with my point of view or you don't agree with it, the performance needs to be fascinating enough or scintillating enough to keep you there. Then you can say, I don't agree with you. So it should never become didactic. And I think that's the challenge, to always make it excellent performance or riveting performance. And then even if I hit you with a sledgehammer, it doesn't matter as long as you still keep sitting there, right? NGOs have given theater a really bad name because they use theater in the worst form possible. They sing besur, they have no idea of voice modulation. Most of them have never trained in theater, and yet they say they are doing theater on the streets. And it's just a massacre of the arts.
Yeah.
Very worthy, but a massacre of the arts.
So how much of a difference does the training actually make?
All the difference in the world.
Yeah.
All the difference in the world. And not only training, but continuing riyaz. I mean, people very stupidly ask me, आपने तो इतने साल डांस कर लिया, अब क्यों आपको रियाज करने की जरूरत है? And I always laugh and I say, two things. One is that you set the bar higher every time. And the second is that as you grow older, you can't depend on the body only. You
Yeah.
need to find ways. And I often talk to my Western dancer friends and I say that ideally, Indian dancing is like old wine. It must learn to mature as it grows older. If I still do today what I did when I was 25, then I have not matured as an actor or a dancer or a performer. And in order to do that, I have to keep rehearsing every day. I have to keep this body, which is my primary instrument, in tip-top shape so that when I go on stage, I'm not thinking of the body, I'm thinking of creating rasa with you.
From Shakti to Sita's daughters, your narratives have completely redefined the portrayal of women in classical dance. So, what continues to drive your exploration of feminine power?
40 years or 35 years after I did Shakti, the Power of Women, which was my first solo piece which broke boundaries of what is theater and what is dance and what is puppetry and what's martial arts. Unfortunately, women are in a worse off situation today than they were, and they don't even know it. Gen Z thinks they're very free just because they wear spaghetti dresses. In fact, they don't even know what freedom was. I remember as an 18-year-old growing up in Ahmedabad and dressed in our party best or dressed in Bharatanatyam, we would drive off in our convertible and go 2 hours to a chai shop on the highway. And our parents wouldn't even be concerned. Today, your 7-year-old daughter is crossing the street and you are worried terribly. So what freedom are we talking about? I think it's the same about caste, that politicians have played up caste differences so hugely that caste is a much bigger issue today, violence is a much bigger issue today than 3 decades ago or 2 decades ago. So in some senses, one needs a million me's today to actually make a difference. And luckily there's Instagram, so one can reach more people.
Right, right. So, having grown up amidst art and science, how has your parents' legacy shaped your philosophy of using creativity as a tool for social change?
Never spoke about it. They always did what they did. So my brother Karthikeya and I saw what was happening, not only with my parents, but with the larger family where people were always working towards either making humanity better or making India better, building India. And so I think whatever paths we took, I took the path of the arts, my brother took the path of environment education. We sometimes say, Papa and Amma must be laughing, saying, देखो काम तो वही करते हैं जो हम करते थे. So whatever paths they've taken, what are they doing? They're trying to build a better world.
Yeah.
And I think that is the legacy, that we have so much privilege, not of money, but privilege of ideas, the kind of people we've met, the kind of education we've had, that if you don't constantly on an everyday basis try and make the world a better place in some way, then everything is futile. I think that's the
Absolutely.
legacy.
Let's talk about Darpana. Darpana has long stood at the crossroads of tradition and innovation. How do you keep classical forms alive while ensuring that they speak to the contemporary realities?
You and I are speaking English, and the same English that Shakespeare used was also used by the American neo-Nazis talking of hate and violence today. I think our art forms are languages. The beauty, the ugliness, the contemporariness with which they are used depends on us. I have recently, a year and a half ago, created a new solo piece called Past Forward, where I look at the woman's agency over a 1,000-year period from the 12th century till now, and how I, as a dancer and the so-called Naika, have taken center space, have taken the lyrics away from those who wrote only about the gods and goddesses, and using the same grammar can talk about whatever. I can talk about nuclear holocaust, I can talk about Gaza, I can talk about the dirty elections in Bihar, whatever. The limitations are on my ability to use the language.
Yeah.
I can vulgarize with it, but it depends on the doer. The limitation is never the language. The limitation is never the art form. Because especially with Bharatanatyam, the sophistication of the grammar is such that one can create anything with it, any context with it.
Talking about Bharatanatyam, from the time you started and the kind of students you see, the kind of passion people are actually are showing towards the art form. Do you think it is increased, or what kind of change do you see in the present generation who are wanting to learn and practice Bharatanatyam?
For every 1,000 students who come to me, maybe one wants it as a profession. That's the proportion. And in Gujarat especially, they learn it because it looks great on a marriage CV. But what we do, we have them for 7 years. And what we try and do is to talk to them about values which neither the parents nor the schools do. We try to talk to them about what is right and what is wrong, what is exploitation, whether they want to be part of that, either as the exploited or the exploiter. We try to teach them about life, about being humane beings. Bharatanatyam becomes one of the strings in the Tanpura. So through Bharatanatyam, we teach them about what is happening on the road.
Yeah.
Through Bharatanatyam, we teach them about the discrimination that surrounds us in society. Through Bharatanatyam, we teach them about how wrong the caste system is or how wrong prejudice is. So for me, I don't really want to create fabulous Bharatanatyam dancers. I want to create good human beings. And if Bharatanatyam is the path through which I can have them from the age of 7 till the age of 15 or 18 or 20. And now more and more of the mothers are coming with their daughters to be students. So we can handle a whole family. And for me, that is the excitement. I think Bharatanatyam, professionalism, all the arts, Indian music, dance, has spread across the world. And I don't really believe in this thing that, oh, they're appropriating our art. If there is somebody studying Bharatanatyam or whatever with great devotion in Mexico, so be it. Study it with love, just as I would study Shakespeare, or I study Neruda, or I study Italo Calvino, to come back to our show.
Yeah.
The world is our oyster. As long as you create sunlight with it, don't create poison. And I think that's really what it is. And I think in Meanwhile Elsewhere, what really works is that with this fabulous poetry and imagery, each of the 12 cities that we take you through speaks of something that is very real to us. One city talks about loneliness, being in a crowd, and you know that in today's world, the kind of mental health issues that the youngest of our people, 7-year-old children, face is a reality.
Yeah.
It talks of a life that you only see in reflection. And what is Insta and Facebook and TikTok if it is not that false life that is a reflection and not the real life? It talks about how we come back to our own cities and there's nothing recognizable because everything has been broken down and new things have been created. It talks about memory, it talks about humaneness, it talks about kindness, it talks about actually having a relationship and not believing I have 5,000 friends because I have 5,000 ticks on my Facebook. So in Yadavan Chandran's interpretation or inspiration of Calvino's book, Invisible Cities, we are already talking about us today. And you know, we've done 15 performances in Ahmedabad. We've had thousands of young students from colleges come and talk, and we have these discussions after. And there have been amazing things. It's as though in the 90-minute show, their wall broke and they feel safe enough in this shared audience space to talk about their own loneliness, which they've never spoken to anybody. And I think that is really the strength of the show, that it makes you feel that you are not alone. This is an issue that many people face and most people feel too vulnerable to talk about. And yet it is something that is shown in beauty, it's fabulous colors, it's fabulous imagery. So I hope all your audiences come and see it in one of the cities where we are coming.
Yes, yes, definitely. And one last question, ma'am. So after 5 decades of breaking boundaries, what remains your biggest curiosity as an artist?
What can I do tomorrow that will change the world?
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, ma'am. Thank you for talking to
Thank
us.
you.